Warren Shaw. We about to get into some game face some things.
So you saying that to say what?
I'm saying it's only because you're hearing it.
No, you saying something. If you saying it, I'm hearing it because you saying it. What are you saying? Let it be said.
Kyle Warren Shaw of the Baseline NBA podcast. And here it's time for us to speak on it. And man, do we have something to speak on. If you guys have not been following along, Adrian Wojnarowski reports it's already trending on Twitter through the course of our Sports Saturday. Carmelo Anthony has been traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And this particular trade, which again, another mind blower for me, the Thunder are sending Enes Kanter, Doug McDermott, and the Thunder's second round pick that they got from the Chicago Bulls, a 2018 second round pick, in exchange for Carmelo Anthony. And Shaw, there's so many things that we're going to talk about, you know, as we preview the Northwest Division and this Oklahoma City Thunder team, now that we know that Carmelo Anthony will be a part of this team. But I just want us to focus more so on the trade. And I want to kind of really delve into this perception of who the winner is, the winner, you know, the losers are, and really what was going through the mindset of the Knicks in doing this deal at this particular moment in time. I don't know what you were doing when you saw this thing hit up on your Twitter feed, man, but when you explained this to me, I damn near got into a car accident. So never drive when getting Twitter feeds about trades happening in the NBA, because you might wind up needing Geico and Progressive Insurance combined to save you from the accidents you could probably have happen to you when you're driving on the road.
Well, for me, it always boils down to just how quickly things can manifest themselves from rumors to facts to this is what it is. Like, all right, now it's a done deal. Like that, it trips me out. Stuff you can hear about for weeks, months, you know, in some situations. And if you go back to even the Dwight Howard days for years about trades happening and then they never occur, then all of a sudden overnight, and in a matter of 5 minutes, all of a sudden Carmelo was finally out of New York. So this trade really signifies, you know, where the Knicks stood in terms of their ability to negotiate, what kind of staying power they had with Carmelo and in their negotiations with other teams, and basically what was out there for Carmelo from other teams. It's ironic because, yeah, on paper it doesn't seem like a whole lot, and again, it isn't. Enes Kanter, second round pick, and Doug McDermott, not great hauls, even from a talent standpoint, for the New York Knicks. But from a contract standpoint, Kanter has 2 years left, so this year and next year with the player option, which he will opt into. I mean, McDermott is going to be unrestricted free agent after it's going to be restricted free agent after the season, assuming the Knicks, you know, don't tender him a qualifying offer. So now you get rid of that albatross, you know, in terms of the rumor mill that would surround Carmelo, and he waited and waited and waited and waited all summer for them to try to get him to his preferred destination of Houston. But he opened things up last night as we were recording the show, and then all of a sudden it was OKC that came through and kind of just struck. And kudos to Sam Presti, man, because I tweeted out same thing, bro. Over the last 2 years, I know we've questioned some of these moves and things of that nature, but he turned Ibaka into Oladipo and Sabonis, then flipped Oladipo and Sabonis to get Paul George. Now he's turned around and McDermott, who we got in a trade, McDermott and Taj Gibson, who we got in a trade. Those guys are now gone, trades out Enes Kanter, and now gets Carmelo Anthony, and really shows Russell Westbrook that they are committed to his longevity and to trying to win in the Western Conference.
So there's so many caveats to the things that you've brought up with regards to the breaking down of this trade. I'm just going to stick to the immediate point, and then I want to travel back to the opposite side with Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks. Are we talking about this move as a commitment or a move of desperation by Sam Presti, Shaw? Because that to me is what the underlying factor is with regards to the Oklahoma City Thunder's transactions over the course of this offseason. I'm not saying that in an act of desperation that it means that it's in haste and it's irrational and reckless. What I'm saying is that in the understanding of the greater good, to your point, in the commitment, could you be overreaching? Because now the perception is this: you've pushed all your chips completely in on this, right? Because these are basically two players that are really not fully committed on the perceptions of Oklahoma City playing next to Russell Westbrook. And you're banking on the fact that your MVP will figure out a way to make things work between him, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony.
I think what we're talking about here is acceptable risk, for Sam Presti and OKC Thunder. So, did they make moves that were, what was the word you used? Not hasty, but desperate. Maybe, but I think these are moves that seem to, at least on the surface, seem to make a lot of sense for them, especially for what they gave up. Desperation for me really comes out of a move that really seems like, okay, you're mortgaging your future and you're giving up multiple assets that really could pan out for your organization. I don't think that's the case here. Oladipo and Sabonis, while could turn out to be good players and nice players overall, they're not as good as Paul George. And, I think you can take that risk there. Carmelo for Doug McDermott and Enes Kanter, it's more than an acceptable risk. So, yeah, is it a desperation move in essence to show commitment to Westbrook? Maybe. But I think it's the right desperate move for sure, because they don't want another KD situation. And although they're not being bashed in the public eye, if you will, or on NBA Twitter or any of those things that really don't even matter in the long scheme of things, they just want to make sure that they put their best foot effort. And I think they have, especially with what they've done to keep Russ around.
I'm gonna be very watchful of this situation, because again, Shaw, my hesitance is not on the rooted fundamentals in the numbers and the logic of how we're analyzing this trade. I'm talking about this in the perception of what this means in contradiction to what this team represented a couple seasons ago. It's weird because in a way you had the forming of a possible super team, and Sam Presti foolishly let that situation slip out of his hands. And here he's manufacturing essentially what people are already dubbing as a super team because of Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook. I don't know how they came to this conclusion, because I can't say that this is a super team. Do you? Do you perceive this as an actual super team? I think that this is a marketably better basketball team that can compete in the echelon of when we're talking about the Western Conference. But I don't know if I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a super team, because Carmelo Anthony may still be considered as a superstar athlete, but he doesn't play like a superstar athlete, not over the last few years.
Well, yeah, I don't know that they are a super team in terms of having 3 all-stars. Now, again, on paper, they have 3 all-stars on the same team. Melo will not going to make the all-star team in the Western Conference. I just can't see that happening this year. But in terms of,
you can also make the argument that Carmelo Anthony shouldn't have even been an all-star, for a couple of seasons. Because what I'm saying is that while Carmelo Anthony puts up great numbers, it's really the popularity of Carmelo Anthony that keeps him in the precipice of being considered as a star athlete, but not considered as an all-star athlete.
Well, I mean, you know what? I'm glad you redirected on that, even in that too, because in this situation, I don't know if it matters about all-star selections. I mean, who cares? How good is Carmelo, and how good can he be in now what would be a third role? I think he was struggling to hold on to remnants of what he was in Denver in his first few years in New York as a primary scorer and the man. Obviously, with Porzingis there, they wanted to transition away from Melo being that guy. Now he goes to OKC, where he's not even the number 2 option. He really is a number 3 option. And if his mindset is correct, which again is always the case for any elite player, but especially any elite player now in the second half of their career, I think him as a number 3 option is an amazing get for OKC. What you do have to figure out, though, is how they make it all work defensively, and which one of those two are going to play the power forward between him, Paul George, and himself. And my guess is it will be probably Carmelo, since Paul George doesn't like playing the floor at all. I think that is what is how you have to look at it from this situation now. So is OKC a super team? Do they have enough supplemental parts behind those 3 guys and around those guys? Maybe not, but they're a very good team. And we just put a Twitter poll a little while ago. Where do you see OKC now in the Western Conference? See them as second best, third best, fourth, or even or down the line? Either way, you have to think they are better than they're better today they are with Carmelo than they were without him.
All right, let's go ahead and quickly focus our attention on the New York Knicks. And Shaw, I was talking about this, which is what I think prompted us, to immediately get on the horn here and record this. I don't understand the logic with the New York Knicks whatsoever. this, and I actually tweeted this out. This again signifies the ineptitude of the New York Knicks organization and the fact that they don't have a plan. The fact that they seem to allow the trending of what's happening in the NBA dictate their plan of success. And it's something that it's actually been really bugging me about this. And I was thinking about this, Shaw, before we recorded. It's amazing to me that this New York Knicks organization has not figured out a formula to succeed in the climate of this sport, which we call the NBA. You have a franchise a borough up from you in New York that is on the precipice of rebounding and rebuilding itself in a 2-year turnaround. And it takes the Knicks somewhere between 10 to 15 years before they can turn things around. And here is a prime opportunity for them to maximize getting something for a superstar that you obviously knew you shouldn't have committed to, but you're already dug your knees into the sand on, and you decided to go ahead and move him basically for nothing. And I'm not even talking about the fact that we're looking at the numbers. I'm talking about what does it mean when you bring these players back to this team, and what does it mean to the team itself and the timing in doing this? It serves no benefit to the New York Knicks. And at this particular moment in time, it strikes me like I don't understand. You basically you have Carmelo under contract. Why don't you just wait until the trade deadline when teams know they're going to need a scorer like Carmelo Anthony and are willing to throw all their chips in the table and maybe even overgive for a Carmelo Anthony type player, that you have to do this now before you even get to the beginning of the season that you know is a losing effort on your part?
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I mean,
okay.
I don't think the Knicks are in any position really where they had that much latitude. I think the key thing that, I think you're just missing the point a little bit here, is that Melo has a no trade clause. So it doesn't matter what teams throw stuff at New York. If he doesn't want to go there, it doesn't matter. And that's what the major problem was. Like, I think if even in regard to Houston, that was the strongest pull they could make. It's like, listen, Carmelo, I don't give a damn. We're all Houston has to offer us is Ryan Anderson. We don't want that. So open up your list and see what else we can do. We have something maybe in place with Portland. They may be able to give us something there. But who else would you want to go to? Because this Houston thing isn't going to work out. Melo's trade clause was paramount. It sat over New York like a hurricane. There's just nothing they could do.
Okay.
So what could you have expected them to do at the trade deadline if Melo wouldn't agree to a deal?
But Shaw, listen, and I'm just speaking from what I'm seeing in the trends up here. Everybody already understands that situation, Shaw. Everybody's already known that the Knicks screwed up 4 years ago when almost 4 years ago when they gave him the no trade clause. But at this particular point, this has got nothing to do with the Knicks. This has to do with Carmelo Anthony. At some point, Carmelo Anthony, knowing that he no longer wants to be a part of this organization, no longer wants to be around this situation, right? He's going to have to waive it at some point. He's going to have to expand the list like he was like how was being tweeted out earlier before the trade actually went down. I have to expand the list. I can't just say, I only want to go here. I only want to go there. He's going to have to expand that list. And the point that I'm making is it would have been different if we were talking about this last year when all of this was already happening, right? Phil Jackson's no longer the issue. Phil Jackson's no longer the problem. This is about Carmelo Anthony. And if you're the New York Knicks and you already still have Porzingis, you've already still, you still have Hornacek as your coach, nothing really changes about the status quo. So what exactly is it that it means that you have to trade Carmelo Anthony now? If you are the Oklahoma City Thunder and you're somehow in the running, and there's a difference between you probably being a 6-7 seed and maybe being a 3rd or 4th seed going into the trade deadline, do you not think that you're going to give up that extra draft pick? If you're the Portland Trailblazers, do you not think that you're going to try and pull the trigger on making a trade? I'm just saying, where does the status quo actually change for the New York Knicks now that the difference between 3 or 4 months from now? Because you've already dug your heels in about this team before.
But it's peace of mind. That's what it boils down to. So
they have no mind, Sean. That's my point. They have no mind. They have no principles or standards to hold this on.
It is about peace of mind, because at what you had a year where Carmelo, and I tweeted this out as well too, Carmelo played good soldier all of last season. And I think a lot of him playing good soldier was because the Knicks were shooting themselves in the foot. Phil Jackson was going out there and making an ass of himself. And he's like, well, you know what? I don't need to go out here and say anything reckless and crazy at this point. So he shut up and did his thing. And then he's also learned from his time in Denver when he forced his way to New York to begin with. That time is now done. Yes, Phil is out, and now the new season is starting. Carmelo, he played good soldier for a year, but at this point, I think everybody is on his side, understands that he needs to get out of New York. So if they bring him back for a media day coming up in a few days and then have him kind of toiling around, knowing that he still wants to be out, this is a terrible situation that could now permeate for a second straight season. And now Melo stops playing good soldier. And that's going to now sour Porzingis. You still have Melo, though, that's still stunting Porzingis' growth. You make the move, get him out of town now. Porzingis can now be the number one unadulterated first option, and you have no issues, and he has the peace of mind. Yes, you take a PR hit in terms of the assets or lack thereof that you got back, but this is definitely a move where, again, how we continue to say, it's addition by subtraction at this point, because keeping him there is just the constant questions, the constant, well, what are you going to do, and who do you want to go to, and things of that nature, and you risk him having to try to play good soldier for another season when I don't think that was going to.
Listen, your points are absolutely valid, Shaw, but me personally, I'm on the other side of the fence about this. I just don't see the difference. Carmelo Anthony playing good soldier is Carmelo Anthony playing good soldier. If it meant that it was supposed to do something that is supposed to help both organizations, great, understandable. But I'm just specifically talking about the New York Knicks. If you have principles that you stand on, if you didn't act on them a year ago, what's the difference between acting on them between now and February of 2018? Because ultimately, Carmelo Anthony knows that he needs to go. I understand that. But he's the one that elected to have this no trade clause, right? So fine, he lifts it. I'm just saying that if you are the New York Knicks, I don't know where you were testing the trading waters at this particular moment in time. If you were just elated that he finally waived the no trade clause, that it suddenly means, okay, great, let's go ahead and take the best offer that we possibly can. I get where you're coming from about peace of mind. My thing is that if you really don't have a mindset, what is it that you can think upon that is going to make you feel good or better at night about the fact that this is New York? We all talk about the superstar players, what they do and what they don't do. What is it any different that Carmelo Anthony is still playing for this basketball team, whether they're winning or they're losing? At the most, he's building up a resume for him to be really one of the most highly touted prospects to be pulled in a trade come this time frame. But I get where you're coming from. I'm just saying.
No, I mean, but I think there's also another side of it as well too. Yes, Melo is older, and what if he's had some knee issues? What if he turns his knee, or what the case may be, and then all of a sudden, well, now they're stuck with him and he doesn't waive the no trade clause. I mean, there's just so many ifs, ands, or buts. I think you have to take the option when it's there. And I don't disagree in terms of what they got back. Yeah, I'm sure they wish they could have got back more. I mean, there was all kind of wild stuff out there, but Cleveland was never going to give them Kevin Love for Carmelo Anthony. That was never going to be the case. If he only has Houston, OKC, and Cleveland on his list of teams he'd accept a trade to, well, then which of those three teams are going to give you the best return on your investment for Carmelo?
So let me ask you this question, Shaw. For the purposes of this trade, what was this more about to you? Because you brought up the point, peace of mind. Is it peace of mind? Is it the money? Is it the assets? Like, what exactly is it that we're talking about here when it comes to the New York Knicks? Because to me, we're weighing this more on the fact that this is peace of mind, which is fine. The New York Knicks can rest soundly tonight that they no longer have Carmelo Anthony. The problem is that this is still a basketball team over the last 3 years that's gone 80 and 166. And people here in New York spend top dollar. They want to see winning. They don't want to see losing. So my whole thing is that when you're making this type of deal and you're resting on peace of mind, you can sleep well at night, but you still have to deal with the constituents that come out to support your basketball team on a nightly basis. At least, if anything, they have a player, whether you love him or hate him, he's still a star player. He's a quality player. You're bringing back Enes Kanter, Doug McDermott. Okay, fine. I would have rather you just give me draft picks. I don't care if they're garbage draft picks, but give me something where I can look at it at its face value and say, all right, I see what you guys are trying to do moving forward. Because ultimately, Enes Kanter, what is he going to do for you? He's really not even in the picture. Doug McDermott, really not even in the picture. So this is a Chicago Bulls draft pick for 2018, a Chicago Bulls team that made the playoffs. Like, again, Shaw, I'm just saying, I'm trying to understand what was the actual logic for the New York Knicks if the only thing that we're talking about is peace of mind. Man, that is, you must have a very big brain to sleep on if you're the New York Knicks, to feel comfortable knowing that you basically put the New York Knicks fan base through this for 4 years and got nothing out of this when it's really all said and done, with the exception of Kristaps Porzingis, who wanted to leave this organization, by the way.
Well, I think but Porzingis is really the second part, or maybe even the main part of the key there. Again, now you fully build around him. There is no debate about who the first option is on this roster. Porzingis, you are that dude. We're now going to be committed to you. And then, it's going to take some time in essence because they have some bad contracts. They have Joakim Noah, who they're not going to be able to get rid of. And again, Kanter is very offensively capable, and I think he's going to supplant Noah in any way, shape, or form when it comes to minutes out there. So Hernan Gomez and Kanter, will probably not necessarily start. But they'll platoon at the 5 position and allow Porzingis to play the 4 position on a regular basis. So for me, that's the second part of it. Really, is like letting KP go out there and really just do what he can do and utilize his ultimate potential. McDermott, again, that's the person I think is a non-factor. I think what people get on Kanter is about that he doesn't play defense, but he's very much an offensive factor and can definitely help that team in many ways when it comes to that.
All right, man, this is a good one, man. And I know that we are not done by any stretch of the imagination. Be sure to get at my man Shaw at Shaw Sports NBA, or get at me at GameFace Lee. The show, the Baseline NBA Podcast, our Twitter at NBA Baseline. Be sure to check us out, man. We are giving you the previews for this upcoming 2017-2018 season. We dropped the Pacific Division. We'll be releasing the Northwest Division and the Southeast Division soon. So be sure to check us out. Big shout outs to our people's Almighty Ballers Network. You are tuned to the Baseline. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw.